Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your day with us today. Welcome to the breakout session. This is titled The Future of Fun, Leisure, and Technology. My name is David Rodas, and I am the CHCI Wells Fargo Housing Grad Fellow. On behalf of CHCI, I would like to thank Entertainment Software Association, Meta, TikTok, and Microsoft for their generous support for the session. And let's get started. From shopping, traveling, gaming, sharing the latest stories of video, and connecting with loved ones near and far, American adults spend an average of roughly 38 hours a week on their mobile phone devices, with the majority of that time spent texting, on social media, and surfing the internet. Advancements in technology have not only ushered in historical educational, economic, and social opportunities, but technology has also completely transformed how Americans spend their free time. Today, we will hear from sector leaders as they discuss the impact of technology on American leisure and how technology companies can ensure that Latino creators and users are provided with safe and healthy digital spaces to enjoy their free time. To kick off our session, it is my honor to introduce the session chair, Congressman Tony Cardenas, who represents California's 29th Congressional District. Congressman Cardenas sits on the prestigious House Committee on Energy and Commerce, where he is fighting for hardworking American families. He has also worked on and authored legislation to lower prescription drug prices, protect American consumers, combat climate change, and ensure everyone has access to affordable, quality healthcare. The Committee on Energy and Commerce is the oldest of the authorizing committees in the House. Please join me in welcoming Congressman Tony Cardenas.
Thank you, David. The word fun is part of the title of this gathering that we have at the moment, so I don't leave the fun to them. I'm just a congressman. I'm just a boring engineer. Again, thank you for all of you for being here today, and thank you to the panelists that are going to enlighten us to what's going on today, what's happened a bit yesterday, but more importantly, what's going on tomorrow. And when it comes to going on tomorrow, every organization, every corporation, every community needs to pay attention to the American Hispanic community, because we are a $1.9 trillion annual buying power community. So if you want a future in business, you better make sure that you involve Latino consumers, Latino constituents, and also Latino employees and board members, et cetera. So one of the messages that I want to give today is that, especially for you young people, there are many places for you everywhere in America. And if you don't see somebody there yet, see yourself there, because you will be hopefully not the first, but the second or third or fourth or fifth person in that position by the time you chart your course. So thank you all. So thank you all to the younger people in the room. We're all young at heart, but the younger people in the room who have yet to figure out, what do I want to be when I grow up? Trust me, you're going to do wonderful, amazing things, all of you. Thank you. I'm a United States congressman, but more importantly, I say I am an American citizen and the son of immigrants. I have the benefit and the honor of growing up in the United States of America, yet but being raised by immigrants. To me, that is the best of all worlds, the best of all worlds, because I understand the values of people who know what it's like to go hungry. I understand the values of people who know what it's like to say, you know what, in order to get water, I have to walk a long way just to get some water to wash my hands, to bathe my face, to drink. But here in the United States of America, even in a challenged community like Pacoima, where I grew up, all you have to do is turn on the faucet, and you have everything you want. Such is the United States of America. If you want an education, all you need to do is open your mind. And you have schools everywhere, universities, the best in the world. They belong to us. They're made for us. Although when I was growing up, I was of a generation that I stood on the shoulders of a generation before me, that they had to protest to make sure that a brown kid like me could get accepted to UC Santa Barbara and to be allowed to go to one of the most prestigious universities in the world and to get my engineering degree. I stand on their shoulders. So one of the things that I want to express here today to all the corporations and all of the organizations who are making it fun for us to enjoy technology, please understand, incorporate all communities, especially the Hispanic community, the Latino community, because we are growing faster than any other community in America by numbers, and we have the highest purchasing power of any minority in America. And again, growing faster than any other. But more importantly, I want to express on everybody is to challenge ourselves, to close our eyes and open our mind and stop looking at the color of someone's skin or the length of their hair or their gender and learn how to appreciate who that person is when they apply for a job, who that person is when you look at their accolades and say, wow, this person is amazing. They belong on our team. We're going to go after that person, and we're going to make them part of our team because we need them, we want them if we're going to be successful. And I say that as well, not just about hiring Hispanics. I say that about hiring and promoting women as well. A very famous billionaire said once, a white man, when he was interviewed, and they said, hey, the economy in America is not doing too well these days. What do you think about the future of the economy? He said something like this: I think the American economy has yet to understand and embrace its potential because to this day, women are not being treated as equals. And when we learn how to do that, boom, not only are we the #1 economy in the world, we're going to continue to grow like never before once we learn how to be inclusive to women. And I say that today because here we are at a CHCI event. The lowest paid people in America to do the same job is a Hispana, a Latina. That has to change. That has to end. And that is on the shoulders of all of us. Not just the people who hire, but on all of us to demand our place. I did not become a United States congressman because I demanded anything. I became a United States congressman because I learned at an early age from my immigrant parents, just be the best that you can be. Be a good person. You have potential. Now the rest is up to you. I say those words and I'm speaking to the youngest people in this room. But also, I say those words and I'm speaking to the biggest corporations in America, which some of them are represented right here on this panel. That is a message to every single one of us. And when we embrace that, when we live those truths, we are going to continue to be the most amazing country on the planet. The place where dreams come true for everyone. And we shed the habits of the past, of looking at a woman and saying, no, I don't think you're good enough. Or looking at a person of color and saying, no, I don't think you're good enough. Those are bad habits of the past. Let's embrace the opportunity that we all have, and that is to shed those bad habits and to open our eyes to the fact of the matter is this. Don't judge. Just be open. Embrace the truth and accept people for who they are and however they come your way. To CHCI, thank you so much for always inviting me. I insist that you invite me. Thank you for taking me up on that. It is my pleasure to be here and to thank all of you for being here to enlighten everybody who came to listen to you today. And also thank you to the young people because I look forward to you running into me somewhere, some way, someday, and say, I finally decided what I'm doing when I grew up, and this is what I'm doing. So I look forward to hearing all of your stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman Cardenas. It is now my pleasure to introduce our welcoming remarks from Jesse Price. Jesse Price is the Director of Public Policy at TikTok. Everyone, please welcome Jesse Price.
Thank you, David. This is my second industry that I have had to follow Congressman Cardenas, and he makes it difficult for me every time. So I'm going to try my best today. But I do want to wish you all a great afternoon. As I mentioned, I am with, I didn't mention yet, I'm Jesse Price with TikTok. And on behalf of my colleagues, I want to first congratulate CHCI on its decades-long track record of creating successive generations of Latino leaders and leadership. As this very summit will attest, CHCI's commitment to empowering young people and its mission to build a brighter future aren't just the makings of a slogan. It's a plan, it's a proven execution of a plan whose examples are success, born of many congressional chiefs of staff, small business owners, White House officials, educators, state electeds, policy wonks, countless others who have, regardless of where they serve in local communities and elsewhere along the American tapestry, count themselves as proud alumni of CHCI programming. And I'm not just saying that because I'm also on the board of CHCI, but I do want, I say that proudly because I know and I have a long history with this organization and know of the product that it has produced over such a long distance of time. And I'm proud to serve on the board of the organization. At TikTok, our mission is to inspire creativity and bring joy. And I can't think of a more fitting panel topic for a TikTok welcome address to proceed, especially given the journeys that the platform accompanied many of us on as we transition from school and we transition from our offices and our cubicles to home for so long. TikTok as a leisure, safe, and accessible space to explore is a destination that has helped establish the brand as the last sunny corner on the internet. That's what they say about us. As a relatively young organization, we also quickly held as a founding principle that our diversity is our strength. And to be sure, people come to TikTok every day to be entertained and inspired by diverse communities. Along the way, they also participate, create, and share. This year, we are proud to unveil our third cohort of Hispanic TikTok trailblazers, the next generation of trendsetters and digital entertainment leaders nominated by the community for their creativity and authenticity. And I'm happy to follow up with anyone after this panel to enlighten you a little bit more about that program. Their inventiveness is how culture is created, how moments turn into trends, and industry paths get reshaped. Whether it's finding new recipes like the uber popular TikTok feta pasta. Some of you, anybody try the feta pasta? It's the truth, right? It's the truth. It briefly caused a global shortage of feta cheese last year because there were that many people who were like, yeah, that looks too simple to be any good. And the way they're putting it in the pan, throwing it in the oven doesn't look very tasty, but trust me, if you haven't gotten involved, get involved. To creative, engaging reviews of local restaurants, to exploring new travel destinations, TikTok is continuing to provide a platform for how users choose to express themselves and engage. TikTok is building for the future, as Congressman Cardenas just mentioned, is building for the future of entertainment with responsible innovation at the heart of it all, where discovery, community, and culture create unique opportunities for creators and brands to drive meaningful impact. TikTok is doing so much. It's changing the way people consume music, a springboard for songs and artists. TikTok breathes new life into catalog tracks and also provides a fresh platform for emerging and established musicians alike to reach new fans. Our hashtag, TikTok Made Me Buy It, has reached over 25 billion views. That's billions with a B. The top 100 gaming-related hashtags on TikTok have reached over 40 billion video views per month. And there is so much more to come. As we continue to dream bigger, we hope that CHCI will continue to be a partner in our collective journey to create and inspire. And with that, I will thank you all very much and turn the microphone back over to David. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jesse Price and Congressman Cardenas for your engaging remarks. And so now let's begin our conversation. To facilitate this panel, we are delighted to have Jose Ulloa, who, as our moderator for this section. Now, Jose Vargas Ulloa is known as the Latino cyber guy, correct? That is him.
Somebody got it.
And has provided client access to the Latino tech market in Spanish and English TV, radio, and social media here in the United States. He has also worked in the broadcasting industry for over 25 years, beginning as a radio news reporter, and after which he was recruited to work for Univision Television Network. Everyone, please join me. Jose Vargas Ulloa.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel so old. You know, it's one of those things that you look back at 25 years of your life and you see how much change has come. I come from the generation where You Got Mail was popular back in the day. And if you remember what You Got Mail stands for, the biggest pariah was if you were on online dating, because if you posted your profile in online dating, you're considered a Jezebel, you're considered every worst thing, and online dating now is the number one thing that drives the internet. So it's fascinating how things have changed. So I come from that generation of introducing to you your smartphones and drones and all that sort as a first adapter, because they always sent those things to me. It was difficult getting them at first because I was just a cyber guy. And nobody knew who the Latino cyber guy was until like companies like Edelman finally said, show us what you can do. And then after that, I've never been off television, off radio, so it's been a blessing. So I want you to remember this thought, and this is the thought I'd like to begin with. And General Patton said it so good in a colorful language back in the day during World War II. And I won't say the colorful stuff, but he said, no war is won by playing defense. Think about it. You'll never win in life if all you do is play defense. Think of Ukraine. Nobody expected it in a superpower. So it shows you that the impossible is possible. So I'll leave you with those thoughts, and I want to thank Congressman Tony Cardenas, Jesse Price for being with us today, and also David Relas and the CI community who made this all happen. So let's get into the business of what we're doing today, because I honestly believe it's really fun if you enjoy technology. You know, and that's the thing is, you know, as we run out of letters for Latinos or for generations C, Y, Z, whatever they're naming everybody now, I've come up with my own. Generation Chihuahua. All right, Generation Chihuahua. Generation refers to all those young Latinos that have a cat or a dog and live by themselves. And you know them. That's all they do. Okay, and then we have the stealth generation. You know, and that's Latinos that they work 40 hours a week and then they go to the room for 3 days and never come out. I have no clue what they do, but that's what they do. And so as you realize our lives are changing and technology is changing, people are having fun somehow. And all these mediums have allowed us, particularly TikTok is one of those first ones, and a lot of other applications are allowing us to take advantage of it. But can we be part of that process of being owners of, you know, having an influence so that it's not just a one-up? You know, they're telling us what they want to see with us today. So I'm delighted to have you here with me this afternoon, and we have a great panel here for you, and I want to introduce them because they got a lot to say. And don't forget, we have our hashtag, so pound CHCIC Summit. Okay, so put it down there. Say, I like the guy, I hate the guy. You know, he looks like Joe Pesci. You know, but you know, those are the things that you get as a. Yeah, well, that's where we're going right now. So let's begin. So let's begin by welcoming our first guest here tonight, Ana Chepi. Chepi.
Sí, por favor.
Okay, see, that's how
My
Latino.
husband's fault.
Well, who knew? I tell you that part. So Ana Chepi, tell us what you're all about.
Yeah, so first of all, so happy to be here. It's amazing to be sitting in this side and seeing how much youth is on the other side. So keep at it. It will be hard, but it will be so worth it. So my name is Ana Maldonado de Chepi. Chepi is my husband's side. I work for Edelman. Edelman is a PR, traditionally known as a PR company that does significant amount of thought leadership in every single sector. And today, I'm here to bring a little bit of the intersection of Latinos and technology and trust. So we talk about the intersectionality of our cohort in other territories. In this particular case, what I will bring forward is some facts to be able to support the rest of the conversation that's happening. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Welcome once again. Christina Weaver-Jackson, tell us about yourself.
Thank you, and thank you for having us here. So again, I'm Christina Weaver-Jackson, and I lead external engagement for policy at Reality Labs within Meta. And you're probably like, what is Reality Labs, right? I'm sure you know what Meta is, but the company formerly known as Facebook, for those of you who still have a question. So Reality Labs is the division within Meta that focuses on building the metaverse. I know you've heard this term thrown around a lot as of late. We can dive into it, hopefully a little bit in today's conversation. I'd argue, Jesse, that we are building the next sunny evolution of the internet over here at Meta. But my work at Meta is really interestingly positioned in between our product and research org, which is actually developing the technologies that are foundational to this future metaverse vision that we've been hearing a lot about, and public policy. So this is a really incredible opportunity to look at probably a lot of the facts and trends that you work on, Anna, and understand how to make sure that those elements are actually considered as we're building, as we're developing the technology, so that the metaverse that we ultimately get to, once that vision is realized, it really truly is a place that considers privacy and integrity and safety and equity, and that is a place like today's internet where everyone has a place and a space to grow and, of course, in theme with the panel, have fun.
Well, thank you very much. She's not virtual, she is real. You can't touch her, okay?
I'm here.
I vouch.
All right, so let's get back to our guest, Tony Justman. Tell us about yourself.
My name's Tony Justman. I'm Deputy General Counsel at Sony Interactive Entertainment, which for those who can't figure it out, that's PlayStation. I get to work on gaming and play games almost every day at work.
I love that job.
Yeah, it's not a bad job. I lead teams doing a lot of different things within the legal function, but relevant to our conversation today. I work on the PlayStation consoles and user experience, the online network that sits behind it, PlayStation Network. I've spent a lot of time working with business leaders building our safety and trust function that is all about creating online experiences that are diverse, healthy, safe, and inclusive. I'm very proud of that work. I also do a lot of support for our ESG function, which one of the pillars of which currently is really focused on activating creator capabilities in the DE&I space, creating diverse game experiences that speak to communities like the Latino community in an authentic way, powered obviously by Latino developers, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And then to honor the Congressman's words about standing on the shoulders of your ancestors, I've had the great opportunity to be the executive sponsor of our Latino ERG, currently called UNIDOS at PS. I took leaders within our organization across both the Americas, Central America, and South America, helping to create chapters and really trying to lean into activating the Latino capability within our workforce, looking to partner with external organizations to build that and enrich it and help deliver, hopefully, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today. So,
Well, thank you for your remarks. I appreciate that. We were once called hard workers. Now we're called we never stop working workers because no matter what time we get home, we're still working. And how much is work and how much is fun? And how does that impact the Latino community? Well, this is what we're going to talk about today because it's changing the way and values of ourselves. And so 38 hours is probably an average estimate for people to be on the phone and all social media. So how does that impact Latinos? So what's it doing? How's it changing them? Anybody can join that question.
Well,
There you go.
well, I think what we're seeing is, technology is really integrated into our day-to-day lives, whether it's for work, whether it's for fun, for play, whether we use it to learn, to communicate. It's just such a core part of our life. And, at Meta, kind of talk about our mission statement as a company, which is really about creating connection and building community. And, to date, like you talked about the stat, 38 hours on our cell phones. Today's technologies with smartphones, we literally have the world at our fingertips, which is like a really powerful thing. Any information you want, it's right here, right? You want to talk to anybody in the world, you can do it through your smartphone. But we're starting to kind of reach the limits of what you can do with a smartphone. And I think that's why we started to look towards like virtual spaces and what the metaverse will ultimately be in the future, and what the power of augmented reality and virtual reality, which will essentially, as the vision comes to fruition, all of that information and power that's currently at our fingertips, it'll bring that world up around us, right? So, you see people constantly texting and you're kind of like face down. Mm-hmm. This will give us an opportunity to still be engaged with that information, engaged with people, but also kind of still be engaged with the world around us. And, I think that's one of the trends that we're starting to see. So, I think a stat like 38 hours on a cell phone kind of sounds like a stark, almost an ominous stat around like all we're doing is playing on our phones, but we're actually using those phones as a conduit to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I want to build on that because the Latino community is a non-legacy system community, meaning they like jump-started the entire ecosystem of technology. And it's proven in terms of largest sale of consoles, multiple consoles in a household, largest sale of devices, smartphones. And so again, it's a way in which those devices become the ecosystem as diverse as they want it to be part of their universe.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed in my work supporting our business in South America is the breadth and diversity of the Latino Hispanic communities. Socioeconomically, points of views, different cultures, the richness of the cultures. In some ways, it feels like it is incredibly special in its diversity and its richness, but it is also not different in terms of what we need to do for our players. I will say that one of the things that I see in terms of what came out of the pandemic is a demand from this community in particular to address some of the, I think, concerns that were part of my experience growing up. Family, faith, hard work, and education. Parents want to have input and feedback in terms of what their children's experience is with technology. And so we spend a lot of time working on parental controls and ways in which we can empower parents to help make the experience for their children better. And these are really important things to the Latino community.
So let us move on with that experience. How do we get to impact that experience? Because I know engineers, I've worked with a lot of them, their values are not necessarily Latino or minority values. They're looking at game sets or logical explanations to a story frame, and yet those story frames do not reflect our culture. And so parents get upset because our kids are changing and they're doing things that traditionally have been done in families that they're no longer doing. So how do we instill, or how do we get this generation involved to be part of that process where values are being shifted onto these games so they reflect the culture? Is there an answer to that, or how do we do that?
Well, I think, again, from the trust barometer perspective, we know the expectation of diverse communities, and we know the expectation of the Latino community. So the Latino community wants to work with brands that have 56% want to work with brands that have a view on addressing social changes and social issues. Those issues, I'll decouple them. Climate change, poverty, racism, information quality, and gender inequality. So again, we see the environments that are being created as an opportunity for Latinos to have a role to co-create some of that content and help solve those social issues. So it's not just government's responsibility, but brands, mega brands, have an opportunity to co-create with a consumer, with creators, to be able to solve for that environment.
Yeah, and actually building on that, you mentioned this concept of trust, which I think, especially from Meta's perspective, where we are kind of embarking into new territory, we're building new technologies that to date haven't really been meaningfully in the consumer market in a meaningful way, right? Like the trust element is really important. So the way we've tried to capture the concept of trust, and especially when it comes to engaging with different communities, is not just, I think there's two ways. There's kind of the more traditional route of going into communities, making sure people are aware of like the value of this technology, the different ways it can be used, the opportunities that are present for different communities of color, different regions, not even like dependent on what the infrastructure may be in a specific country or region, like how the technology shows up and how it can still be a value add, but also how we actually build the technology. So at the research phase, when we're building out a technology, before it's ever part of a product that would come to market, what are the questions that we're asking ourselves? What are the requirements that we're putting on our engineering and product teams to think about how we actually incorporate concepts of equity and inclusion, or privacy, which has very different definitions to different communities, right? It's safety and integrity, same. Like the definition, the meaning of safety and what makes you feel safe differs from community to community. How do we incorporate that into the actual product development process? So ultimately, especially in hardware development, it takes years. I'm sure you're very familiar with this, right? But ultimately, by the time we get to a product that's coming into the market, it's already built in a way where the product itself is more inviting to a broader swath of people and makes it easier for communities to actually take advantage of the technology. So, I think that trust piece is really important. And as you're building new technologies, to like really lean into that as a first step to bringing different communities, especially communities of color, in some cases where there have been a lot more hesitancy with like newer technologies because of past experiences that haven't been great, right? So building that trust as a first step is a really important piece of that.
The by design philosophy, whether we talk about it, privacy by design, safety by design, inclusion by design, diversity by design, all that's absolutely essential to build the technology of the future that will reflect the diversity of all of the population. That's especially important in the safety function, and we've worked with Microsoft and Nintendo to actually announce to the world some principles around safety that are all focused on creating experiences that are diverse and safe and inclusive by design. But the other piece of it, as a content creator, so we obviously make technology, but we also make games. And it's essential to really drive the creation of authentic experiences, the beginning of your question really, that speak to the communities, that is entertainment and fun, that is also in value and reinforcing the cultural perspectives of those we're speaking to. So our main proof point relevant to this audience here is the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, where we had developers working in the game who had experiencing developing the Spanish Harlem where it takes place, who were invested in creating authentic characters and storyline that all spoke and resonated in a really authentic way to the community. And that's the obligation we have going forward, to not just to the Latino community, but to other communities, to really invest in the richness of the content we create.
Now, we're talking being inclusive and equitable. Where in your company can that process begin? So if I saw something in your company from a PR perspective, in Devices and Edelman, or in Metaverse, or in Sony, where's the point that we start at? Who do we call? How do we participate in an actual physical way, other than just, it's nice that they're trying to hire people, but there's a lot of people saying, communities, organizations saying, we want to be a part of this. So who's the person they call? It's like the 911 at Edelman. Tell me what your problem is.
I mean, we're very proud that we've had a multicultural group built in for the last 20 years. All of our data for the last 5 years has had a specific cohort for each community. So non-Hispanic white, API, Black, and Hispanic are all built in. So for us, you can call anybody. And they'll connect you to the right group or bring the right group, or you're likely to have the right group already built in. So we're very proud of that, and it's domestic and globally. So diversity looks different in different parts of the world, and we are kind of there.
So that's a great question. So who do you call? Well,
Ghostbusters.
Because Facebook doesn't have a number to call. That's really the right. You try calling Meta, you don't know where to start. So how do we begin that process?
So there's actually a few different ways. And I'm kind of speaking, as someone who kind of sits in the policy space with the company, right? Our main conduit is actually through a consultative process. So I talked a little bit earlier about, building equity and building inclusion into products and building, there's a series of kind of principles that we've set forth, right? Which deal with, putting people first, giving people controls that matter. And these are things that govern how our engineers and product teams actually build the technology. And then we've got priorities around equity and inclusion, priorities around privacy and safety and integrity and economic opportunity that also guide our development. So in order to actually implement those things into the process, I believe there are a lot of smart people at Meta. This is not a knock on anyone that works internally at the company, but one company can't make those decisions alone, right? So there's an extensive consultative process where we seek a lot of input from experts, from advocacy organizations, from community organizations, to really influence how we make those decisions so that it's not just, a group of, professionals at Meta in a room who decide, oh, this is a decision that is equitable for the Latino community, or this is inclusive of the African American community, or so on and so forth, but rather it's a collection of input from various organizations, from regions, from experts who come from different places that help weigh in on that consultative process. So, I think what's really important is getting to a place where we are seeking that input on the front end proactively, so that hopefully we don't have to get as many of the phone calls.
And I think that's true of everything, right? If you, from step one, you build it in versus patch it on the back end, you end up having a much better product. And in the product, the economics also are there. Like, it's not just because we all feel, which, by the way, for a Latina like me, feel is more important than the wallet.
Yeah.
But they're connected, right? In this particular case, they're very much connected.
Yeah, the 1.5 trillion that the congressman referred to is the driver, when we talk about corporate America, really, to move the needle in terms of doing things by design. So we do have the power, the economic power, purchasing power of the Latino community here in the United States to help drive the implementation of that philosophy. I really believe that.
Now I have a question for the audience, and this is an audience question because this is your opportunity to give them some feedback and also find out some interesting facts. What do you think is fun in gaming, traveling, shopping, and your version of fun is different from their version of fun, and sometimes algorithms.
Or maybe
get in the way.
not.
Well, yeah, but that's what we're going to find out today. Because you see it differently. You see the future as a Latina or Latino. What makes this technology fun? And ask them the question. What makes it fun for you? Because sometimes they don't see it, and this is an opportunity to let them know, hey, you forgot about this or overlooked it or it wasn't even considered. So it's no disrespect to the company, just they don't have everybody in the world voting on things to make it happen. So questions, anybody have a question? Don't be embarrassed to ask. What's a better way of shopping,
Oh, there's a question over
Okay,
there.
there's a microphone over there.
Yeah, so good afternoon, Eleazar Gutierrez with Panasonic North America. I think when it comes to technology, right, it's accessible when it comes to shopping. It's easy, you could do it by your phone. It's fun in sort of way, you have options, you don't have to leave your home, especially after 2 years of pandemic. I think we were all connected to our phones most of the time and sort of we're spending a lot of time online. And then I think on the social side, right, if a platform like Facebook it's generational, right? I see my grandfather, which has now spending more time on Facebook than me, right? And sort of connecting and liking my post and seeing what I'm doing, right? So it's been very interesting to also see that how technology has brought generations together and really just connected us all, right? And I think with the metaverse, it's exciting to see what the future holds, right? And how the implications that can have on our both personal and professional careers.
So, without your question, should there be a primo button, just friends and family, you know? And things of that sort where just the culture reflects itself. Those are things we haven't thought about because once again, this is the opportunity to begin this conversation because change is obviously here. They're looking for input. So another question, please, anybody? Don't be embarrassed, whether it's traveling, you know, sometimes it's the most annoying things on the phone that drive you crazy. And you say, why don't they do this? And a million other people are saying the same thing. So the challenge is, anybody have any questions? Right there.
Hi, my name is Mark Gonzalez, and I'm a CHCI Public Policy Fellow. My fun comes from my community. So my question is, what do you guys do to connect users like myself to communities in like the metaverse or in the back end of Sony PlayStation to like maybe small business owners or like minority-owned businesses or content creators that look like me, that look like us in the room?
Anybody can answer the question.
So actually, you know, community is a big thing, right? Like I mentioned earlier, that's part of Meta's mission is around building community, building connection, right? Now, the interesting thing about the metaverse, or I'll make an analogy here. So everyone here, since you so gracefully told us that your grandfather's on Facebook, everyone here has been on Facebook, and you understand how on the Facebook platform, you know, there are many different ways to connect to community, whether it's through groups or, you know, through your own networks, whether it could be like your school, it could be a community group, it could be anything, right? But there's ways to kind of find people with whom you have things in common. But the Facebook that we know today is a platform that's intended to do that. The metaverse is actually something that I would more liken to what today's internet is, right? There are many different communities on the internet, right? That are not just owned or operated by one company or one place, right? Think of like different websites. You know, there's a website you can shop on. There's websites you can learn on. There's websites that are informational. Some are more closed, right? You have to be a member or you have to have like access to it. There are others that are open for anyone to indulge in. So I think when we think about what the metaverse is going to be like, we think about the power that everyone in this room has to actually build that community, right? Like, and we're at the ground floor of this. Like the metaverse, as we are envisioning it, does not really exist today, right? So this is the opportunity for people to start to envision what will community look like in this virtual shared spaces, and what do I want my community to look like? How do I want to shape the spaces where I find people that are like me or share interests with me, you know, and do you want that to be open? Do you want it to be closed? Do you want it to be interactive? Like there's so many different things. Like my favorite, is anyone here from DC, from the DC area? No, okay, a few people. So I grew up in Washington, DC, and the like popular music in DC is go-go. No one outside of DC cares about it, but it's a big thing. If you're from DC, you get it, okay? There's a go-go club in the metaverse, right? And I'm not a huge gamer, sorry, even though I do, even though I work for Meta and I work on metaverse stuff, the way I interface with XR technologies is not necessarily through gaming. It's for travel or just for entertainment, like watching a basketball game and feeling like I'm sitting courtside because I'm on my Oculus, well, it's not Oculus anymore, it's the Meta Quest device, right? But like so somebody who's probably also from DC thought this is a cool way to bring DC people together in this shared space, like in a shared social VR space, right? So these are ways that we can actually have a lot of control over building our community. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I think the metaverse concept is so new, and I think there's a feeling that it's something that like Meta is creating alone, and that's not the case at all. It's something that all of us will play a role in creating and contributing to.
Yeah. I hear your question going to what are we doing to empower creators who aren't big video game developers? If you go back to 2013 when we launched PlayStation 4, one of the things that we really did is we leaned in and invested in the indie community, smaller developers, two-person development teams working out of their parents' garage, literally, who were making games on a small budget. And we've continued investing in that through PlayStation 5 and presently. During the pandemic and Black Lives Matters, Sony created a $100 million social justice fund, of which PlayStation took a portion of that and is investing in developing games reflective of seeding money with developers in underrepresented groups like Black and Latino communities, trying to create and kickstart the development of games that kind of speak to those audiences. And of course, through the work of our ERGs and other teams within Sony, we're constantly looking for partnerships with, I've worked personally with Latinas in Tech, trying to build relationships to those who have an affinity for technology or game development. Girls That Game is another one. And so we're constantly looking for ways to build relationships with those, whether it's they're going to make a game or whether they're interested in technology and encouraging them to get involved. And where that leads, one never knows, but you have to, engage in a lot of activities in a lot of different places to start to make a difference. So there's short-term and there's kind of a long-term strategy, but you have to invest in all of it.
Okay, I have a question, and forgive me, I won't stand, but my name is James Colvin. I'm a defense fellow in Representative Carvajal's office, which is California 24th District, and happy to say he got reelected. And anyway, my question is this, and to address your issue, I'm the grandfather in the room. I'll be 66 this month, so proud of that, right? So I'm a baby boomer, right? And so my question is regarding my generation, basically. Simplicity and safety. I think those are the two things for us, and I think that there's sort of a gap. I'm on many boards also, and what we do, we try to bring in this generation to integrate. And so what we see now is this gap from email to fast forward social media. And in this generation now, we put them in to link. And what we see is that everything's forward facing, right? So they're picking up the 2,000-year group, if you will, maybe 1990s and moving forward. And now there's this gap with the old guys and ladies who are, I'm gonna just use email, for example, as how we primarily communicate. So what is the idea regarding trying to bridge the two, without leaving us far behind? Thank you. So
that's a really great point, and actually a really important point, because I think the uniqueness or the needs of the baby boomer generation or some of our aging generations, right, are actually, sometimes they're looked at as like unique to a generation, but if you're building something with a level of simplicity or understanding for a generation that has not grown up with the technology, it's actually benefiting everyone, right? So I talked a little bit earlier about some of the principles by which we develop technology. And one of the things is about making things plain. It's really about giving people controls that matter, not surprising people. Well, how do you do that? You can put a disclosure that's 1,000 words long and written in really fancy legal jargon that nobody understands, or you can give people controls. You can opt in or opt out, but if it's in tech jargon that the average person has not a PhD engineer, they don't understand it, that control doesn't matter to you, right? So I think one of the ways that we try to kind of make tech more accessible to generations is actually building in that simplicity very intentionally. And it's not a simple thing to do. Like you say, building in simplicity, that should be simple, just make it plain. But when you're trying to both be build in simplicity, but also be very transparent
Yeah.
about what you're doing, making sure people understand, especially for generations that are very in tune to like their data and what's happening with their data, how we're using it, how we're not using it, who has access to it, who doesn't, what happens to it, right? Like making sure you're being plain and clear, but also providing the simplicity and control is one of the ways that we try to bridge that gap. I don't think it's a perfect science. I think that it's iterative. I think that we all of us on the stage probably have a way to go to get there.
Yeah.
But that's one of the ways that we're working toward that.
Yeah, there's no silver bullet. It's one of the really important things is the out-of-box experience when you open. If you're buying one of our consoles, you're opening it. Can it be set up by anyone over the age of 5, up to the age of 90? Right. That's one of the things we actually think about. Especially when coming back to this idea about parental controls and empowering families to meaningfully participate in the experience of younger players in the household. It's really important that the parents are able to engage in that process, to set up an account for themselves and then help their child, rather than, the 14-year-old taking the thing to his or her room and just setting it up and playing.
And
there's
never
no
coming out
parental
again.
involvement. Yeah. So experiences are also important. Coming back to I always think about these things in two ways: the console side of things and the experiences there and the technology, and then there's the content. Right? Are we either encouraging publishers to make games, or are we making games that are family experiences? So in my family, we recently played this game called Stray, which is this kitty who's lost its family. I don't know if it's a boy or girl cat, actually, and is now surrounded in this world with robots, right? And so we took turns, because there's different mechanics in the game: puzzle solving, fighting, moving, all sorts of different things. And we kind of shared based on our own strengths and played together as a family. It was really wonderful. Now, was the game designed for that? I don't know. But it does mean the importance of the content that we make that allows generations to play with each other is really important. And you've got to be thoughtful about it. Yeah.
I would also say that I see a lot of abuelitas on all of the social platforms. So I'm not so sure that they're all not on the social platforms. Back to fun. That's the fun that I like.
And breaking news, I don't know if you heard it in the sandwich that he talked about all this information. 100 million, you said, was given as a part of the...
100 million active users on PlayStation Network.
Okay, but also there's a 100 million fund. Didn't you say a fund?
Oh, yeah.
There's a fund set up for...
Oh,
people?
yes, 100 million, yes, the social justice fund.
100 million, did you know about that?
Yeah.
Well, those are the things that people don't talk about when it comes to money. You don't talk about your money, much less the companies talk about their money. So take advantage of that opportunity. We're going to wrap this up, and if you have any more questions, feel free to talk to them in this afternoon's last plenary. In 90 seconds or less, the future of Latinos within your company and your experience, will it exist in the future, or pretty much this is it? This is the last breath in this change window that we have?
Oh my God, the future for Latinos is bright. It is purposeful. It is essential, financially essential, and the value system really reflect America. So it is really a sweet, sweet trajectory.
I would say that the opportunity, especially from the perspective of building for this future, this metaverse future, is vast. And we don't even know how vast it is, because our minds have yet to actually expand to what we can do in this space, in these types of metaverse spaces, as they become something that is real and tangible that people are experiencing. So I would actually say that my advice is get in, explore. Even if you don't know what it is, if you don't know how to, build, if you're not a coder or something, right? Like, that's okay, right? Get in, explore, try VR, use AR tools. Like, these are the stepping stones, the foundational technologies to what the metaverse will be in the future. And when I say that the opportunity is limitless, we have not even begun to realize what we're going to be able to do with this technology as it comes to be.
Yeah. I found the congressman's words just tremendously uplifting, talking about standing on the shoulders of your ancestors and not so much the American dream, but the potential of being here and not just doing better, but being more ready and confident in participating in society. You know, my grandmother came to the United States during the Mexican Revolution. She worked almost her entire life in the fields. I grew up on a farm. We worked hard as kids. I worked with my grandmother in the fields a couple of times. And, you know, what that created for me, the values that I got from that, allowed me to go to college and then go to law school and then work for a company like Sony. It's just like, it's unbelievable. It gave me goosebumps listening him to describe it, because I feel like that too is my experience, and it can be all of our experience. Nothing is guaranteed, of course, you know, but I too am optimistic, so.
Well, I want to thank our panelists for giving us their insights, and thank you for your questions. And remind you that, as I said this morning, for those of you who were part of the first session, destiny will always reward those who are willing to take that calculated risk. And if you're willing to take calculated risk with that 100 million, that can become a big investment for your company. And there's other metaverse, it's just exploding. Even though you may hate the CEO, it has nothing to do with metaverse other than it's business. And that's how business is done. And people take advantage of these technologies and use them regardless of who's in office or who's not in office. So our future is bright. And the challenge now is up to you to take advantage of the opportunity today, because these people have given you a window that's going to close very shortly, because nothing stays open for a long time. And so now take advantage of the opportunity with the little bits of wisdom they gave you. And remember, destiny will always reward those who are willing to take a calculated risk. Thank you. And
Thank you.